Good afternoon, everyone. We'd like to welcome you all back to the main stage here. We have a wonderful discussion with GXO Logistics this afternoon on changing the game. So take it away, everyone.
Thanks, Nick. Appreciate it. Hey, my name's Ed Dixon. I'm going to be moderating this session for our group, so I'll just kind of be handing it off from one to the other. We're just going to do a quick introduction. I just want to say, I'm super happy to have this opportunity to represent GXO. It's a great company we work for, and we have lots of opportunities to really bring our military experience to work on a daily basis. So I'm really happy to be here. And I guess I'll go ahead and introduce myself, then we'll hand it off to each of us. So again, my name's Ed Dixon. I work for GXO Logistics. My role there is the Director for Business Continuity. I've been with the company in a series of roles for about 12 and a half years. I was in the Air Force for 11 years. I got out in 2001 in March, just before 9/11. I had a series of different jobs, whether it was in retail or in sales, for about 10 years before I found what is now GXO. So I'm real happy to be here and happy to share with you today. So next, Samantha, can you introduce yourself?
Sure, I'm Samantha Getz, and I was in the Air Force for close to 7 years. I got out in, I can't even remember. I didn't prepare that. 2012. I got out in 2012, final answer. And I kind of skipped around. I was definitely had some struggles explaining what I did in the military, how that translated to a civilian career field. So I was unemployed, kind of skipped around for about 5 years before I found what is now GXO. And I'm very lucky to have found that. I've been with GXO for 7 years now. And I am a senior manager with site IT infrastructure.
Great. Thanks, Samantha. Appreciate it. I am noticing a little bit of feedback. So participants, if we just hit mute when we're not talking, we'll just have that discipline. That would be great. Just got to remember to put it back on when it's your turn. So Nate, you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Hey, my name's Nate Wilson. I'm a retired Army officer. I spent roughly the first half of my career in the infantry and the second half as a logistician. I retired on 1 February last year and started with GXO shortly thereafter. I'm the business continuity manager. And for those who don't know, business continuity is everything that an organization does to prepare for, respond to, and recover from interruptions to the business cycle. I like to describe it as being a little like emergency management for the private sector.
Great. Thanks, Nate. And obviously, Nathan and I work real closely day to day. Scott, why don't you introduce yourself to us, please?
Yes, my name is Scott Steiner. I am an environmental health and safety manager with GXO. I cover the West Coast region. I was in the Marine Corps for 6 years. Retired out of the Marine Corps due to injuries. Found GXO and have been with GXO for almost 12 years now, and have been growing and loving this family that is GXO since I came on board. So looking forward to chatting with y'all.
Great. Thanks, Scott. So I'll start off with our question that we have. I'm going to read it from over here. How are we changing the game? We're going to talk a little bit about what we did in the military, some of the skills and takeaways, and how we bring it to work every day. So there's only 4 of us, but we only have less than 15 minutes. So just real quick, I worked as an aircraft maintenance officer. And when I first hit the ground as a second lieutenant, I very quickly realized how important safety was. We had jet engines running, and as all of us, we work in environments, bombs, missiles, engines, all kinds of things. And I realized real quick, we needed to pay attention to keep everybody safe. That was one of the first realizations that I made. I held other jobs, and whether it was like launching jets on the flight line, to back shop maintenance and engine shop and avionics shop and so on. Later, I worked as a logistics liaison with permanent U.S. folks who were stationed in Turkey, along with NATO partners who were operating out of Turkey. We were supporting at that time Operation Northern Watch. But in all those roles, right behind ensuring a safe work environment, I realized that my number one job was to remove obstacles for people. So as a junior officer, the way I did that was learning about the parts and supply network, getting my hands dirty, working with my team, trying to gain their respect, actually turning wrenches on aircraft. And then really talking to folks kind of with a real sense of humility and purpose about what made them tick and maybe what their biggest obstacles were, and then saw ways to remove those obstacles. So that's some of the lessons I learned as a junior officer. And then as I progressed, watching some of my superiors and, whether it was officers or NCOs that I respected, learning what made them tick and learned how they got things done and how they earned respect from people. And I basically just learned, those types of lessons. So I think today I take those lessons that I learned in the military, kind of, we talk about having a servant's heart and servant leadership, and kind of try to take that same thing into the business world. We have responsibility for ensuring about 300 sites across the Americas and Asia Pacific have business continuity plans. I've got, some responsibility for our quality department as well. And I think, one of the things that I like about GXO is there's lots of opportunities to try your hand at a lot of different things. Particularly be safe is our first core value. And that's something that really rings true with me and it makes me happy to continue to work here. So without further ado, let's see, next up, Samantha, can you share a little bit about yourself and your background and how that relates over to GXO?
Okay, well, in the military, I worked within the IT space, and I'm very privileged to still work in the IT space with GXO. I know that not everyone has that one-to-one correlation with what they did in the military translates exactly to what they will do in the civilian career. And so I want to kind of focus on some of the soft skills that we learned. I hope everyone learned, and I hope it hits home for a lot of vets. The group really come from working with a diverse group of people. The military is the largest employer, or has the most diverse workforce in the U.S., and that is a benefit to every vet that has served. It teaches us, I hope that it taught you, it definitely taught me to be a better communicator, to work as part of a team versus an individual contributor, and to value the unique ideas and perspectives that different people from different walks of life bring to the table. That helped us accomplish missions in the military. And it was important for me to find a company that aligned those core values in my civilian career. I was lucky enough to kind of trip upon what is now GXO. A veteran encouraged me to apply. And when I interviewed, of the panel of 6, 3 veterans were on the interview. And I think that ensured my successful hire. I was very thankful for that. And I really enjoy watching how GXO, what is now GXO, has grown and transformed and improved, and is always improving, putting policies in place to support the employees, to really promote inclusivity and make us feel like we're part of one team, that we all belong. That's huge. And so if you're a vet, I hope that you take that into consideration when you're applying for jobs, that those are great skills that you can bring to the table that any company would be lucky to have. And I hope the companies hear this, because I think that some companies may underestimate that group of soft skills that vets get taught through working with diversity. I think that that is the secret to success, bringing people together. And I'm so proud that GXO has inclusivity as their core value. I'm proud to be a part of it. And I think that's where the game-changing ideas come from.
You're on
You
mute,
did.
Ed.
Of course I am, because I was the guy that said mute. Hey, so, hey, and Nate's got, in the meantime, if you guys can, someone asked if we could put our LinkedIn profiles in the chat. So Nathan, you're up next. So we've got about 8 minutes left in our session.
Okay.
So for you
well,
and Scott.
I'll try to be brief then. So As I said, I'm a retired Army officer and a business continuity manager. I think business continuity in general, and particularly here at GXO, is a great fit for veterans. I continue to use a lot of the skills that I learned throughout my Army career on a daily basis. I develop and deliver training. I design exercises, perform risk assessments, conduct contingency planning, develop communications plans, and coordinate with our warehouses and other corporate departments. And throughout my Army career, I did those things again pretty much daily, especially when I was in executive officer or staff assignments. So I would just kind of say to the group, if an Army or probably also a Marine veteran has time on a battalion, brigade, or above level staff, they've already learned and understand how to plan and coordinate, assess risk, and communicate things with others. Another thing that you pick up in the military that I continue to use for GXO is project management. The Project Management Institute says that it is a temporary endeavor undertaken to create a unique product, service, or result. A project is temporary in that it has a defined beginning and end in time, and therefore defined scope and resources. Okay, all that's a mouthful, right? Well, in the military, usually what we're looking for is a result. And you pretty much, every time I did a movement to contact or an attack or a defense or deployed a unit or ran a convoy or did a patrol, whatever, each of those would have been a project. It has a defined scope, beginning to end, and we're looking to accomplish something. Now, the terms that obviously the Army uses for project management are going to be a little different. We call it troop leading procedures or the military decision making process, Army design methodology, joint operation planning process, etc. So anybody who's an officer or an NCO is going to be pretty well versed in those same really project management ideas. And I'm still doing those projects, for GXO. They look a little different. It's not a patrol through South Baghdad or anything like that. But we're rolling out a business continuity software system now. We've been doing it in phases over the last year. I also plan visits to our sites and worked on a communications plan based on a different system. And again, it's not exactly the same, but a lot of the steps and the processes are going to look, pretty similar. So, I guess in conclusion, I feel like, veterans have a lot of skills. Sometimes, we have to learn how to communicate them. But those skills are definitely a benefit to private industry. Kind of in the end, you just really learn how to get things done.
Great. Thanks, Nathan. And, I brought Nathan on a year and a half ago, and he's just been hit the ground running as a rock star. So glad thanks. I'm glad you're on my team. And last but not least, Scott, can you please share your bit?
Best for last, saving the Marines. All right. After my time in the Marine Corps, I was looking for that family environment. I got out, as I said, as a wounded warrior. So it was important for me to find that to grow as a building block in my career. I was a logistician in the Marines. I knew I wanted to transfer my skills to a company that would embrace that. And embrace my military training and discipline and the leadership that they instilled, right? My experience was not every company really displays good order and discipline structure in their daily operations, right? However, my time at GXO shows and has proven that it is what I was looking for. So we do have each other's back here. It is very much like the military. We do support each other on a daily basis. Last minute projects come up. You call somebody and it's like, I need support, and you're getting support. It's not cover and fire, thankfully, but it is, you're getting that support when you need that support. So I wanted to apply my Marine Corps to influence those around me. And over the past 12 years now, I have specifically been able to do that in the role of an EHS regional manager. I've personally been able to mentor and develop individuals into leadership roles in the EHS compliance mode, as well as putting that into their toolbox as they develop in GXO. I eagerly continue to invest heavily in my career within GXO and within its future leaders. And because of GXO, we're not just in the game, we're changing the game. And this is one reason why we're changing the game, is because we look to this good order and discipline that veterans bring to an organization. We look to the skills that are developed and the leadership abilities that veterans bring from all branches, from all walks of life, and they bring into this company. We want everybody to come in. We're looking forward to it. I appreciate the time that you guys have given us to talk today too, and appreciate the questions. So thanks for joining with us.
Awesome. Thanks, Scott. We've got about 2 minutes left, and I'm just trying my best to scroll through any questions. A lot of people are just putting their contact information and so on. I did want to point out that, so I believe that if this stays in our session in our box, I think we can go and follow up and check out different people's LinkedIn later on. One thing that I wanted to mention, a program we have that is probably is one thing that I think is really great, is we have something we're calling Forces at GXO, where we're creating an internal network among military folks who are in the company, which also includes our folks in Europe on the other side. So that's something that's really neat, and it's part of our larger diversity and inclusion. So we're including veterans as a piece of our diversity and inclusion program. So that's one thing that's really great. That makes me happy to work here. And I'm just looking there. I don't really see any questions. So let me just scroll up a little bit. And if anybody sees any, like I said, there's a lot of connections on here, like LinkedIn profiles and so on. But thanks everybody for your attention and for your comments. And we really are, we're glad to be able to have some time. So thank you all. I think that with that, we're done. So everybody have a great rest of your day. I'll just hang out. I guess we have another 50 seconds. So I'll hang out here to see if anyone puts any questions in before we hang up.
I think we had one at the beginning about a tool to translate. What tools do you recommend non-military recruiters, liaisons utilize to help match military skills with the job requirements and descriptions? I don't have an answer for that. A lot of Googling. Does anyone else have an answer?
I think
we've reached out to local universities. Sorry, Nathan.
Go ahead.
Local universities and language departments as ad hoc to help with some translations right now for programs to ensure accurate translation is also accomplished. AI is still has not proven to accurately translate all verbiage for languages so far yet.
I think if the question was about translating resumes into civilian speak, so to speak, I had to do that, about 2 years ago now. I was working through that. I would think for a company, the easiest and probably the best would be to leverage any other veterans in your organization. They can understand what a executive officer does, or a battalion logistics officer, preferably one who's probably served in the same service. Except for Avatar.
Great. Thanks, everyone. And thanks for your interest. Thanks, team. And Nick, thanks for hosting us. We appreciate it.